Hello, my name is Nima, and this is Finding Nima, the Prodcast, a space where I prod, probe, put things to you that I hope will get you thinking about things differently and, more importantly, doing something with the information you discover. Right, today is World Book Day. I'm going to be sharing a few books that I have accumulated over the years, not many. It won't be overwhelming, but I think they're very pertinent, well, with everything that we're living through and with it coming up to Women's Day too. So stick with me, find out which books I'm talking about. Before that, I want to refer to two conversations I had earlier on today that made me want to share something I think is really important with you. And this is it. Raise your profile. It is so important. In fact, this is brought to you by the Raise Your Profile Incubator. It is 3 days, the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of March, that we get together. You work alongside me. We drill down to all sorts of practical, real, important things for you to raise your profile in a way that is right for you and where you can be comfortable doing it in a stress-free manner. Sound good? And it's not just that, it's also support for 2 months and beyond if you want it. So basically, information is right here, raiseyourprofile.site, raiseyourprofile.site. What are we doing here? Well, this morning I had an interview. I was interviewed by somebody in China. China, here I come. She was brilliant. And she is somebody who has just started doing this, I think, in the last few months. It's not something she's ever done before. She had an idea. The idea was, I want to share information, knowledge from people outside China with the people inside China. She's the conduit. So what she does is she interviews people like me, and then she sets to about translating it and putting it out to her network. She thinks she's not important. She thinks she's so small in her words. She's brilliant. And I mean, look, today we met. I'm not in China, never knew her before our first interaction a couple of days ago. And this is what happens when you raise your profile. When you raise the profile of something that you think is important, she believes that cross-cultural understanding is really important, and that's part of her mission. This is why she's doing this. She is raising her profile by default because of the work that she's doing. She is exactly my kind of person. Takes an idea from an idea to a reality, does it herself, works with what she's got, and learns through doing. And in the process is raising her profile and the profile of the thing that she believes is really important. So that happened this morning. After that, I had a meeting with somebody in Europe. Now, she's in a different situation. She wants to figure out her work and life in a way that is deliberate because of the phase of life that she's going through. And she needs to figure out what exactly it is that she's going to start sharing with other people, because she wants to raise that aspect of what she knows and does in a way to attract the right sort of client for her, the right sort of client for her current phase of life. And again, it drills down to her figuring out what aspect of what she knows and does she's going to start raise her profile to be this go-to person for that thing. That's why raising your profile is so important. I could talk about this for a long time, but I won't. I'll leave that for another time. Today is International Book Day. No, it isn't. It's World Book Day. That's what it is. Today is World Book Day. I love books. In fact, I didn't have a TV up until fairly recently, and that wasn't because of me. It was because I had to take somebody else into account. And it's fine having a TV. It's just that it's a bit alien to me, and I still prefer my books and radio. So here are the books I want to share with you. This is one I've had for many years. It's a simple, little tiny thing that I think is beautiful. Look at it. Stay calm. Jenny Kemp. I mean, look, this is a person who decided to step off the treadmill of that, the hamster wheel of life decades ago, in fact. And she took a total break from the news, from the side of life that was just busy, 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 and spent time with herself and came up with a series of books like this one, Stay Calm. She also did the illustrations. I love them. And I think, in fact, it is perfect for the time that we're living in, because it goes through things like, what you can find joy in, what you can do. Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? Reflect on the miracle of life. I really love the stripped away, simple approach that she has to the words that she uses and the illustrations that she creates. It is just wonderful stuff. Wonderful. I'm just I love this one. And this is when I bought it. I bought this at a time when things were not calm in my life. Just, let go of stress. I know it's not easy. I know it's easy to say it, not necessarily easy to do it, yeah? But sometimes when we read words, it kind of induces us, it helps us make the words happen and be real. So in fact, it's calming to read this book about staying calm. It helps you reach that state. I'll write a few links in the description when I'm done with this that will point you towards every book, okay? So Stay Calm, my first book. Stay Calm, Jenny Kemp, absolutely brilliant, wonderful book. And look, lightweight, you put it in your bag, carry it around with you, pull it out when you need it. This one, I love. There you go. Sane by Emma Young. How I shaped up my mind, improved my mental strength, and found calm. It's that word again, calm. Now, Emma is a science journalist. She used to write for The New Scientist. She went through a phase of life before she wrote the book where she realized she wasn't calm. She wasn't the person that she could be, calm, centered, able to give and be present when others needed her. She had 2 young children when she did this. And being a scientist, she went and looked up the stats and facts, not pontificating, not people's opinions, but things that were based on research, findings, studies, that sort of thing. She traveled around the world, spoke to experts, and came up with this book. I love this book because it is practical, fact-based, and written in a very user-friendly, reader-friendly way. And that's a theme that I suppose exists across all the books that I like, and I would hope across all the work that I do and put out. So it's brain-based stuff. It's not just an opinion. At the end of each chapter, she comes up with a list, sort of what you can do about it type thing. So, yeah. So in terms of food, because she looks at the whole of our life, sleep, food, what we surround ourselves with, what we do if we're stressed, how to get rid of stress, what happens inside our body when we are trying to do these things, when we're going through these things, when we have gone through and let go of these things. So each chapter at the end, she does have a checklist. I don't know if you can see this. It says here, the diet checklist. So she's really drilled down to, okay, diet, food, gosh, such a lot is written about that. What's real, what's not, and how do we know? What's the evidence? What's the evidence? The senses checklist. So again, every chapter goes through the building blocks of what's real, the science, the evidence, the experts, and then there's a lovely what you can do about it too. Love it. Okay, here's a book. Okay, I have a confession to make. And the confession is, I'm a hoarder. What do I hoard? I hoard pieces of paper in the form of ripped out parts of newspapers, for example, as you can see here. So this book is full of, my goodness, these are years old. I mean, because I read this a long time ago, but all sorts of bits of newspaper that are my markers for various things. But that's not what we're going to be talking about. This is a great book, absolutely brilliant book. How women decide what's true, what's not, and why it matters. Therese Houston. Again, evidence-based, research-based, full of facts and figures, data, in a really easy to digest and follow way. And guess what? At the end of each chapter, there is a condensed what you can do about it. So let me see if I can pull one up. Here we go. Things to do, says what it does, really simple. So if you can see that, things to do, just there. So at the end of every single chapter that she's gone through some really heavy duty stuff, it's condensed, simplified, and handed to you as things you can start doing right now. And by the way, I just realized that's another common thing that I have with the books that I like to read and surround myself with, and the work that I put out, because if I can't pass on the how do I do it to you, what's the point? What's the point of knowing stuff if you can't do something with it? Ideally, straight away. Really good book. Really good book. It's great. It's not just for women. It's not just about women. Yes, it dispels myths that are out there around women, let's say leadership positions, their ability to cope with certain things and lead and make all this sort of stuff, yes. But actually it drills down to men and women and people. I recommend it for everybody. Really great book. Now, this is where you get to know other bits of me. Here's a book I've had for decades. The Art of Nonconformity. Really good book. Chris Gilbo is the person who wrote this. In a nutshell, he did the traditional stuff, went to school, went to university, graduated, and went to work. Now, he, as part of his working life, he volunteered. He went on a voluntary mission across the world. And he realized that what he got out of the practical side of working and doing and learning through doing was much more valuable to him than the money that he spent on his university education. So he takes us on a journey of self-discovery and reflection, and how he came to the conclusion that he came to, which is, you know what? It says it on the right there. Set your own rules. Yeah? Set your own rules. That's the point. Set your own rules, live the life you want, change the world. And I think with everything that we've gone through over the past year, these kinds of things have come to the fore for many, I hope. And it's just this idea that, wait a minute, it doesn't have to be done that way. Wait a minute, I can do it this way. Wait a minute, who says we must, whatever that thing is? That's the big thing for me. It's this realization for many who have gone through life not really seeing, not really thinking too much perhaps, but just doing that traditional one thing, then the next and then the next. This sudden stop that we've been experiencing, where there is no referencing, no framework, we've had to kind of muddle our way through things, and I hope figure a few things out that are important for us. So let's go back to this. I'll just look at the chapters or the index. Or yeah, here we go. All right. Oh, look. So he starts with The Remarkable Life, Sleepwalkers and the Living World. So that's the sort of, let's just go through the traditional way we always do things. Setting the terms of your unconventional life. Smashing through the brick wall of fear. Fear, it holds us back from so much. I know it sounds so cliche, but it's true. If you step into your fear, you experience things so differently. You grow, you just, things really change. And when I say fear, I don't mean go to the worst thing you can imagine and start doing that. I mean, just something that you're not too sure about. I'll give you an example. The woman in China, she had never experienced anything like this. She'd never interviewed people. She'd never contacted people across the world for this sort of stuff. She's actually an introvert. She thinks she's small and quiet and not important. She stepped into her fear and she just started doing the work. And look at her now. I'll let you know when the interview comes out. So yeah, I like this book. It's been in my library for, I don't know, 20 years maybe. So it just gives you an idea of where I'm coming from, meaning these sort of things have always interested me and I've always been on this path. And I just think with everything that's going on in the world, it might be a nice book for you to dip into every now and then. And my last book. So, here you go. Living Out Loud, Kerry Smith. I really, really like this book. I recommend it highly. It pretty much sums up loads of stuff that are important to me, that I like, that I do. It's colourful, it's a bit loud. It is full of activities. That's the thing, right? That's the thing I wanted to say. It's got simple stuff like, I'll show you. Well, it's about being your own superhero. I love just people who illustrate stuff, who take pen to paper and start drawing. That's a common theme, by the way, you'll see in my books. When I was a little girl, I'm pretty sure there was some sort of magazine that had a cutout person and you could cut out their clothes and get them to, change their outfit or something like that. I mean, I'm somebody who actually never had I think I had one doll, if I remember. I was very young, but that's it. But I did like these sorts of things that you make and do with your hands, yeah? And you know what? The big thing here is that it's important to play. We forget that, don't we? Or maybe we know it cognitively, but we don't actually do it. Spend time exploring, trying things out, experimenting with things, and just doing things for the sake of doing them, like doodling or colouring things in. So let me take you through. Oh, look at this. It says The Art of Resting. Yeah. The Art of Resting. So these are the kinds of things that I hope we retain instead of just going straight back into the rush, getting into work, looking at watching the clock. Once our freedom of movement is back. So it is important to sit with ourselves. Yeah, be comfortable with ourselves. So important. I really like this book. I like this. Look at this. Be your own. Let's rip this one out. Be your own superhero. So she's asking you to simply colour it in, cut out your own face out of a photograph and stick it on. Brilliant. I am one for sending postcards to myself. So when I used to travel, I would write down my thoughts and send a postcard to myself. I've done it from all over the world over the years. It's lovely and brilliant. And you'd be surprised. In the moment, you think, I'm never going to forget this. Of course, I will remember this. We don't. We forget. And when we look at these brilliant postcards, it really brings back so much because it brings back that part of you. These are a series of postcards that she has at the end of the book that she's encouraging you to rip out and post to yourself. Life shrinks and expands in proportion to one's courage. Fab. Back to courage and fear, yeah? Look, these are my books. I'll reference them in the notes. What I want to say to you is this. We have forgotten how to play, how to be with ourselves in a comfortable way. These are things that are a theme in the books that I choose, as well as things like fact-based findings, so not somebody's opinion. I'm sure if you look at your library, you will see certain themes that run across, could be an interest, but I'm more interested in the sort of core of how a book comes about. Like, who's the kind of author that you like to read? I like authors who are playful, colorful, creative, fact-based, evidence-based, and practical. That's my big thing. To end, though, I do want to share one thing about our mind. I can't remember which book had the thing on just sitting with yourself and the mind. Oh, it was the Sane book, right? So Emma Young. But it's a theme that runs across all the books, and it is this: when our minds are overwhelmed, we just don't function properly. Now, a couple of days ago, I decided I would not plow through and keep going with whatever it is I was doing. I got up, did a few stretches, made myself a cup of tea, and then decided to have the cup of tea in a nice, comfortable chair, not at my work desk. So I finished the cup of tea, put it down, and then I fell asleep. But it wasn't just an ordinary sleep. It was like a dead person. I was absolutely out cold. And then I woke up and I realized, wow, just that part, that's however many minutes I was asleep for. That happened because my brain is working on many fronts at the same time at the moment. And I just want to share with you that, you know what? We can function. We can be high functioning. We can be, we appear to be fully functioning. But actually, taking time out to play, taking time out to do what's called nothing, so have it as an actual separate activity, the nothing activity, is really important for your sanity, well-being, and for your brain to function properly when you need it. You see, where we think that doing things like watching TV or taking a break of some sort like that is us taking a break. That's not taking a break. It's not a cognitive break. So I would really encourage you to take a leaf out of my books and get a bit playful, sit with yourself, and make space for nothing. That's all from me. I will see you next time. Bye for now.